everybody. It's Allie, and welcome to our Y&R Chat for Sunday, April 5th, 2020. That Alyssa works quick. She was able to go back to Kansas, confirm everything about Adam's theory with absolute, irrefutable evidence. She was then able to collect all of the supporting documentation, put it into a nice, neat little box, write up her expose, hand it over to Adam, and all of this within the course of one single episode. Damn! She is good. Give her a job at Chancellor Media. I am impressed. Adam was then able to turn around and, with his very best Machiavellian smile, plop all of that irrefutable evidence and documentation right down in front of Victor and say to Victor, "Do you love me now, Daddy?" I'm sorry, Adam. As much as I know that you want this win, you have already been had. Victor flew to Kansas last Friday. And then by Monday, he was kicking around the ranch again, acting like nothing happened, and he just went to Kansas to fix the furnace at Hope's farm. Nah. He goes to Kansas, and then Alyssa comes back with all of this irrefutable evidence. I don't think so. No. I hate to break it to you, son, but your father planted all of that irrefutable evidence so that you would find it. Victor laid all of it out on a silver platter, including paying the coroner to confirm it all. All of this was a test to see what you would do, Adam, and you failed. That's my theory anyway. That's how I'm looking at it. And from the looks of it, Victor is content to just ride this one out and see where it goes. Because in the previews, oh yes, that's right, I said previews for next week's show, Adam is standing in Victor's office telling him that he wants it all. He's played the trump card. He's the winner here, and he wants Newman Enterprises. He wants everything under that roof. And Victor is just sitting there looking weak and defeated. I don't think so. I don't think so. And then Victoria also is standing there in the scene, looking shocked. She just got back to the office. She's barely had time to hang up her coat, and already there's a hostile takeover. It seems that Victoria has now had an epiphany of her own, and that epiphany is that her life is actually much better without Billy in it. I couldn't agree more. So Victoria calls Billy over to the ranch so that they could break up again. Seriously? Billy and Victoria have had 3 separate "it's over between us" conversations. How many more of these conversations do we need? It's over. Okay, it's been over. I guess the purpose of that conversation was more so to just make sure that their relationship ended on a positive note. And maybe also so that Victoria could give Billy permission to date Amanda or Lily or whatever poor sucker comes along next. It's been hard on me being so hard on Billy because Jason Thompson is so hot. He really is. The actor who plays Billy is knockout. Ugh. Y&R did this mashup video of our favorite Y&R characters in their homes during the self-isolation, and Jason Thompson had a little segment where he was just casually sitting on his couch being lightly annoyed that a couple of his kids were bouncing around on the side of him, and for some reason that was very sexy to me. It was very real and very sexy to me. If you didn't get a chance to see that video, I did post a link to it in the daily watch and chat thread on the website at yrchat.com, because it was kind of nice to see a bunch of different Y&R stars being casual in their homes, and for some reason, I don't know, seeing Jason Thompson being casual, I was like, oh yeah, Billy is a total screw up, but this guy is hot. Oh, I'm so confused by what Billy wants, and I think that's a big part of it. Do you think that Billy wanted to get back with Victoria? Sitting on that couch in the ranch this week, do you think he wanted to get back together with Victoria? But I can't tell. He seemed like he was having a hard time accepting that she was letting him go, like he almost couldn't believe it. And I wonder if Victoria had told Billy in that conversation that she wanted to try again. Do you think that he would have agreed? If Victoria was willing, would Billy have been willing? I don't know. The only thing I know is that I would not have been willing. I think Victoria needs a new man, a new life, a new challenge, and the second that she freed herself up emotionally from Billy, she popped up off that couch, she gathered up all of her folders, shoved them in her briefcase, and ran down to Newman Enterprises to free Nick of his ball and chain, being there, having the realization that as the days and weeks are going on and he's still in the CEO job, it's making him think that he's turning into his father. So Victoria does Nick the favor of letting him move along. Now Nick's schedule is freed up for a different kind of merger that he's been working on with Phyllis. He's been working on that merger a lot lately at the office, pulling some long hours. The second that Victoria got back into the office and she was having that alone moment where she was walking around, she was fluffing up the pillows on the couch, she was hanging up the coats, throwing the trash away. Victoria has this moment where she looks behind the desk and she sees that Nick has left a half-eaten chocolate donut lying around, and Victoria just makes this face of disgust. And she just says, ugh, Nick. And she picks up the donut and she just throws it in the trash. And I couldn't help thinking, oh, poor Victoria. If she only knew half of the disgusting things that Nick has done in that office while she was away. Nick must be like some incorrigible frat boy around the house or something. He's leaving his half-eaten donuts lying around. He's wearing shoes in bed. Ugh. I loved that moment early in the week when Nick and Phyllis were in her hotel suite. They were getting ready to do the nasty, but it was not about to be that nasty. Phyllis pushes Nick down on the bed, then stops him midstream and makes him take his shoes off. Ugh. It's the little moments like that that make a love scene more fun and more realistic and more relatable for me. Because I have a no shoes in the house rule, let alone shoes in my bed. No. I was fully on board with Phyllis saying, pause, you better get those shoes away from my sheets. I don't care how hot you are. I don't care how hot this is. Get them shoes off my sheets. Oh, I'm just loving this story so much. And I find it delightfully outrageous that Summer saw Nick and Phyllis down in the lobby right before that sex scene happened, and she could read between the lines, and she took it upon herself to confront both of her parents as soon as she had a chance. Summer has got some nerve. Treating both of her parents like they are the soap children, warning them not to get involved with each other because it only leads to heartbreak, including hers. Summer really got herself worked up about it, and I know that I should be mad and annoyed maybe by how worked up she got over it, but it was a funny role reversal. Phyllis was just floored by the fact that her daughter was speaking to her like this, but I really liked Nick's reaction. I thought he had the best response when he said to Summer, okay, I hear you. You can have an opinion, but you don't get a vote. And then he just opened up his office door and ushered her right out of it. I thought that was great. It's not going to last. I mean, Summer's not going to be this irritated about her parents' reunion for long. So it was a nice little temporary stop. And I don't know, just to create something a little different. Is there any chance that maybe Summer will pull out some tricks? Is there any chance that maybe she's going to be willing to go the distance in trying to keep them apart? I don't think so, but I think it would be fun. I just like the idea that we could see all of the soap opera tropes that are usually used by parents to keep the two soap lovers apart. I mean, Victor Newman alone, that would be enough to fill a book. But I like the idea that we could possibly see it in reverse. It might be funny. I don't think they're gonna go that route, but it's an entertaining notion. And I don't know, also because I think that Summer is not going to be able to hold a candle to Nikki in this department. Nikki might find a way to beat Summer to the punch, because the look of horror and disbelief on Nikki's face when she realized that Nick and Phyllis were at it again. I screen capped it. She's such a good reactor. I love this layer because I've been enjoying Nick and Phyllis and their romps. And now I get to enjoy Nick and Phyllis having naysayers. And I mean, the naysayers are coming from all sides. It's coming from their child and from their parents. I mean, Nick and Phyllis are just getting disapproval from all of the angles. But the magnetic pull between Phyllis and Nick is just too much. Nick actually pinned Phyllis down this week. He asked her what exactly it is that she wants out of this situation. And at first, Phyllis was really shocked to be even having this conversation. But then her strategy kicked in and she said to Nick, okay, we can have this conversation, but you go first. I think that is so funny because it's been really clear for a long time now, since the first storm and power outage that we had this year. It's been clear that Phyllis wants more from Nick. She knew that she could have sex with Nick. How hard is that? Not very hard. But Phyllis didn't want to be the one to say that sex isn't the full package. And Phyllis wants Nick's full package. So, like reasonable adults, they sat down to make a list of the pros and cons to starting up this new package. And I really liked Nick's idea to just list all of the pros and cons in an Excel spreadsheet. How very CEO of him. I can almost see him saying, Phyllis, you better spread that sheet and have it on my desk by 5. It's just too much fun. Phyllis had a more informal idea for the decision-making process, which was, let's just name all the reasons why we are compatible, and then I'll have sex with you in order to drive home the point. That works for me, too. So that's what they did. No complaints here. That was a very productive meeting that they had. I was just waiting for Nick to say, yeah, Phyllis, that last thing, put it in a memo. Okay, I think we got a lot accomplished here today. Summer and Kyle would like to have new and more places to have sex. So Kyle suggests that they get a place together. But Summer tells Kyle that she's not ready to move in with him, considering he's still married to Lola. Well, thanks, Summer, for having some self-respect. One of you had to. See, just when I started adjusting my mind into accepting Kyle and Summer and their very fast reunion, Kyle and Lola have this really tender scene where she thinks that Kyle is calling her to have a meeting so that he can complain about her relationship with Theo, when in fact, the reason why Kyle is calling her to meet is the fact that they haven't faced the facts. They are still married. They haven't made any progress on their divorce, and yet they're with other people. And that scene was so heartbreaking. I'm sitting here and I'm looking at Kyle's derpy, red, scrunched up face and Lola's big, beautiful tears rolling down her face. And I remember, wait a minute, Kyle and Lola were adorable together. Their relationship was supposed to mean something. And Y&R cut it short, expected us to forget it, and now here we are again. I was trying to forget it, Y&R, and now you're giving me all this chemistry between these two. it's hard. It is hard to move on. Ugh, that conversation was so heartbreaking. And afterwards, Lola goes home. To society, which is pretty much like her home these days. It's as good as home. She's never anywhere else. Lola goes to society, where, of course, Theo is also. That's also his home. And Lola tells Theo that she and Kyle are getting a divorce, which I'm sure secretly, maybe not so secretly, pleases Theo to no end. Theo has wanted Kyle and Lola to get a divorce and end ever since the day they were married. And Theo has been planning this grand first date with Lola to New York City, of all places. He even called in a favor to get tickets to take her to the orchestra. Do you really have to try that hard to get tickets to the orchestra? Is there like a crush of people trying to ram down the doors to get in to see the orchestra? I have no idea. And I'm only joking. I've seen the Chicago Symphony Orchestra several times. I enjoy it quite a lot, but I'm old. It's an odd choice for Theo and Lola being as young as they are. I thought that the dinner plans he made sounded a little more fun and appropriate for their age range. Oh, I shouldn't say that. Anyone can enjoy music. It sounded perfectly lovely. And I think that Theo has been quite a gentleman. It's clear that he's trying to be a gentleman. I was glad to see that he was already planning on making sure that while in New York, he and Lola had separate rooms, separate beds in the suite. And I'm glad that Lola was concerned about that too. I don't want to see Lola lose all of her demure, because Lola made Kyle wait and beg for sex. And I feel it's only appropriate that she should make Theo do the same. Well, now the problem is that our most anticipated New York City trip that they've been talking about and planning for a month now has unfortunately had to be postponed. Sharon finally gave Ray permission to tell Lola about her cancer, so that he would have someone to lean on. It's the same mistake that Sharon made with Mariah and not really wanting her to tell Tessa. I'm glad she's finally getting around to giving Ray the green light to do the same. But of course, as soon as Ray tells Lola what's going on with Sharon, Lola feels that it would be better for her to stay close to home, to postpone this trip in case her family needs her. Lola did not, however, tell Theo the reason why she wanted to postpone, and that it was really just out of respect for, for Sharon and Ray's privacy, that she didn't say anything to him. So I wonder if Theo is going to think that the reason Lola postponed the trip is because of Kyle in some way. Because from Theo's perspective, all he knows is that Lola had this divorce conversation with Kyle, and then she comes back and wants to postpone the trip. So I wonder if Theo is going to use that as fuel for revenge against Kyle. I mean, if Theo is on the edge trying to decide whether or not he wants to pursue his plans to get revenge on Kyle, then this canceled New York City trip could be the catalyst. And if we're about to see a knockdown, drag-out battle between Kyle and Theo, who are you rooting for? That's our our poll question for the week at yrchat.com. Kyle versus Theo. Which one of these guys are you hoping comes out on top? I'm rooting for Theo. Theo is a much more nuanced character to me at this point. Kyle's kind of a one-dimensional dope, and I want to see him get his comeuppance. But at the same time, I don't want to see Theo get his hands too dirty. I don't want to see him get down in the mud in order to serve Kyle his just desserts. I do think that Theo is serious when he says that Lola makes him want to be a better man. But then again, Kyle said that too. There is just something about Lola that attracts these bad boys and then makes the bad boys want to flip into being good boys. And as evidence of that, Theo actually did flip a little bit this week. He was early in the week carrying on with his plan of trying to squeeze these private emails out of Kyle's assistant, looking for something he can use against Kyle. And right when it seemed that the assistant was going to have something of value to offer Theo, he changes his mind and tells her to put it on hold. I think that Lola had something to do with it, but I also think talking to Dina had something to do with it. Theo paid a visit to the mansion this week to see Dina, and Dina's not real talkative these days. She mostly listens, but at least it seems like Dina is actually hearing and absorbing some of the things that are being said around her, even if she's not real quick to process it. Because Theo was talking about his girl problem, probably out of nervousness. You know, it almost just seemed like he was talking just to fill the space because he didn't know what to say. And I thought, by the way, that it was strange that he was saying everything he was saying with Jack standing right there. Jack had to know that surely Theo was talking about his daughter-in-law. Lola is still Jack's daughter-in-law, and here Theo is talking about this girl. It's obvious that it's Lola. And Theo's going on about how he feels about this girl, but how he's also not sure if he's making the right moves. I mean, she's thrown him for a loop. She's not the typical girl that he would go for, and he doesn't quite know how to navigate this type of relationship. And Dina, who was looking kind of empty and kind of blank during most of the conversation, she out of nowhere has this churn, and she looks up at Theo and she gives him this big, bright smile, and she says to him, "Don't worry, you're a good catch." My heart. Aww. That was such a Dina thing to say, too. Dina knows a good catch when she sees one. I'm pretty sure that Dina has even tossed back a few good catches in her day. It was a nice interaction, and I'm glad that Theo had the opportunity to at least have another scene with Dina. But now I think it's time for the other cousins to come by for a chat with Theo. And in those previews, Kyle and Theo must be stopping by Dina's next week, and they end up having an argument right in front of her because we see Dina just crying out, "John, Stuart, stop it." Aww, it's like a dagger in my heart. I just feel so bad about that. Doesn't looking at Dina and seeing just where she is and how her life has developed, doesn't that make these young kids get a different perspective? Like, life's short and maybe we shouldn't be arguing in front of her. Lola was there too. I'm not quite sure why Lola would be there. Maybe Theo was bringing Lola over to the mansion to meet Dina, and then maybe Kyle showed up and it sparks an argument? I'm not sure. I wonder if Abby will pop around the corner now, too. While Abby was meeting with Devon, she did say that she was headed over to the mansion now that she's back in town from her exciting trip halfway around the world, wherein she and Chance captured Colin and then had sex in his shower. Ah! You guys should have been there. It was amazing. Jack and Jill talked about the situation at Jabot, and Jack seems to have shifted his frustration from Kyle over to Theo. Jack said that he is kind of not happy with the drama that's going on at Jabot, and he also really doesn't want to have to be spending his time keeping an eye on Theo. But at the same time, Jack said that Theo reminds him of himself as a younger man. Jill remembers Jack as a younger man, one that she had an affair with while she was married to his father. Jack and Jill were pretty open about talking about their relationship and everything they've been through, which was kind of surprising to me. They both agreed that it wasn't the worst relationship that they've ever had, and that they've kind of come to a place where they like each other now. That's great. Man, I miss Jack and Jill. Any form of Jack and Jill. Because I mostly remember how much he hated her. I remember how much they warred. Because I think the affair happened before I started watching Y&R. So I mostly caught the aftermath of all that. So yeah, I mean, they just have really good chemistry. It was a really good scene. I think it was nice that Y&R made time for that scene. It was lengthy. It was an entire day's episode of just Jack and Jill talking to one another. And it was well written. It was reflective. It was comfortable. And it was entertaining. I would love to see Jill stick around to be a confidant for Jack, especially as we continue to watch Dina's deterioration. Mariah and Tessa had one peaceful night on the private jet together, and then it was right back to the drama. Mariah and Tessa both agreed that they needed to part. Mariah needed to go home to support Faith and Sharon, especially since Sharon was receiving an update on the progress of her treatments, and it is not good, you guys. It is not good at all. Sharon had her ultrasound this week, and she learned that the tumor has not responded as much as the doctors would have liked to the chemotherapy treatment. So I guess that means the chemotherapy treatments have not reduced the size of the tumor. And I really wish that Sharon's main doctor, the one whose name she's mentioned many times, I can't remember what the doctor's name is, but I wish that Sharon's main doctor would have been there with her to hear the news, so that, like, she would have been with a physician that she knew and trusted, so that doctor could help keep Sharon focused on her treatment and the plan, which she already knew could include a variety of different approaches. She knew that if the chemotherapy treatment didn't work, then they were going to have to seek out other options. I just wish that Sharon weren't alone through it. And it was Sharon's choice. She chose not to have her family with her. She asked Ray and Mariah to not go with her to the appointment because she wanted to be alone. Okay, I can understand that, but I wish her physician would have been there. The person she was meeting with seemed like she was a stranger. And so Sharon just, I think, stopped listening halfway through the appointment. She almost had this out-of-body experience where all she absorbed was the fact that it was bad news. And there was no one and nothing there to mitigate that. So Sharon left the appointment. She goes to Crimson Lights. She has this whole battle with the sugar bag. And I think that Sharon was just trying so hard to keep her mind off of what had just happened that she ended up just making a scene. Ray walked in and he knew immediately what was going on, and he took her home where she could feel her feelings in private. And Sharon was just angry and disappointed and scared that the treatments haven't worked. She is tired of trying to stay positive. She's tired of baking lemon cakes and redecorating the coffee house and helping other people with their problems. And she's starting to break now. Sharon feels that the only option for her now will be to have the surgery, the mastectomy, which I'm sure is so hard to handle emotionally, even after the physical wounds have healed. I don't know how I've never been in those shoes, but I'm sure it's just so hard to accept that in your mind. I do think that reconstructive surgery is fairly common, so it's feasible that from a storyline perspective, we actually could see Sharon go through this as a next step. We actually could see her have the mastectomy and then a reconstructive surgery. I am just not looking forward to those tears. I guess I should have been more grateful for lemon cake Sharon, because traumatized Sharon will be a dark and depressing road to be traveling down right now. How about a positive note? I want to see Nate and Amanda's first date. I want to see it, not just hear about it. I want to not have 3 weeks of planning it and then it gets canceled at the last minute. I want to see the date. Phyllis has really been pumping Amanda up to get into the dating game. Amanda is no longer living under the shadow of a stalker. And there's this hot, sexy, single doctor in the house. Yes. I totally feel the chemistry between Amanda and Nate. And on Nate's side, the person who's pushing for this union is Elena. It's in Elena's best interest now, isn't it? If Nate and Amanda fall in love, then there's way less of a chance that Devon will fall in love with her. You know what? Elena was giving me Olivia vibes this week. Standing there in her white coat with her clipboard at the newly remodeled New Hope Clinic. Ooh, I want Elena to keep giving me Olivia vibes. And then I want Amanda to give me some Drusilla vibes. And then, ooh, if you can get Devon to keep giving me the Neil vibes and let Nate give me some Malcolm vibes, then my whole Winters family fantasy will be complete. Hey, why didn't anybody tell me like 9 months ago that Elizabeth Hendrickson was pregnant in real life? Here I am going on about how unrealistic it is that Chloe had this huge baby belly so early in her pregnancy. And then I find out this week that it was Elizabeth Hendrickson's real baby belly, and she just gave birth to her daughter. Well, congratulations to her, and I hope that she's doing well. I saw an article that was talking about the struggles she's been open about giving birth while this COVID-19 crisis is overwhelming the hospitals and limiting human contact and just disrupting all of the most basic of our everyday routines and lives. And as someone who went through childbirth 3 years ago, it's freaking hard, even when everything is going smoothly and as it is operating normally. So I cannot even imagine how much harder it must be right now. So I just have to say, my heart really goes out to her. She seems like such a really smart and talented individual, but I am sure that she will overcome this, as will we all. On that note, we have begun our Y&R episode rationing. I got 4 new episodes this week, Monday through Thursday, and then on Friday there was a classic episode of Y&R that aired. See, this is why I voted that we needed to pause Y&R for a little while, because this makes me nervous. Not gonna lie. Y&R stopped production on March 17th. It is now April 5th. So we have officially already blazed through 2.5 weeks worth of our banked episodes, and they are not going back to production anytime soon. I am sorry to say it, but it is true. I mean, the television industry, and especially soaps, it's going to be uniquely impacted moving forward. How can you possibly implement something like social distancing on a soap opera set where intimacy is our currency? You know? Love making, fight making, getting up in people's faces. That's the name of our game. Their 2-week shutdown has now become 6, which is what I said from the beginning, right? When I heard the news about the 2-week shutdown, I said on Y&R Chat, it's going to be more like 6 to 8 weeks. And I'm worried. I gotta be honest with you. I don't know if the 6 to 8 weeks total is even all that realistic. Unless the virus has a really strong slowdown in the summer and Y&R production decides to come in and get aggressive and bang out a bunch of episodes before things ramp up again in the fall and the winter. I just don't know if we're going to be seeing any new episodes for months. How are they going to risk bringing Eric Braeden back onto this set? Any of our actors, but especially our high-risk ones, how are they going to risk bringing these people back onto the set? I just don't know. I am not meaning to be pessimistic in any way. Please don't take it that way. But I think what I'm saying is realistic. So I mean, I think it's great that they're saving one episode a week by airing the classic episodes, but that only buys us one additional week, and then we're gonna run out. You see, most people are worried about running out of toilet paper. I'm worried about running out of My Young and the Restless. I did not watch the classic episode on Friday, and here's why. I'm trying to plan out how I am going to fill out Y&R chat space for some time when there might not be new episodes that are airing. So I am going to save Nikki and Victor's classic wedding episode, and I'm going to talk about it in depth when I have nothing else to talk about, and I'm just going to savor my new episodes while I can. That's my plan. But just so you know, I mean, I've got, I always have a million ideas for extra things that I can do with Y&R Chat. It's usually the time that I don't have, but I'm sure no problem at all. I'm going to have plenty of ways that I can keep Y&R Chat going, even if Y&R isn't airing. But in the meantime, I know that there are some really great, strong, creative minds behind the scenes at Y&R and at CBS. So I am gonna choose to be positive and believe that they are, right as we speak, working out some kind of new plans to generate new content and keep us all lathered up and soapy for when we get to the other side of this. Or, how about this? The next step is everything goes up in flames. No, I'm just kidding. That's just our Who Said It quote for the week. Who said it? The next step is everything goes up in flames. Let's hope not. If you think you know who said that quote, go to yrchat.com to leave your guess. And if you get it right, I will give you your shout out on next week's Y&R Chat, just like I am giving shout outs to Joanne, Henry, Marianne V, Mark, Keisha, Victoria, Jamie, Kamna, Martha, Ambreen, and Cherie, because you guys all guessed last week's quote, which was, people are the same everywhere, capable of good and evil. And it was Adam. Adam who said it. Quite a few people guessed that it was Alyssa, and you were close. It was said during the conversation that Adam had with Alyssa, talking about their two fathers. People are the same everywhere, capable of good and evil. I guess it doesn't matter how much, where you live, whether you're in Kansas or Genoa City, capable of good and evil. It's interesting though, because, I think, capable of good maybe also implies that Adam knows that there's some good in Victor. I mean, it's not all one thing. People are capable of good and evil. So Victor could be capable of doing some good while doing some evil at the same time. I guess that's an interesting, different interpretation for it. But I thought it was a nice little line. And I'll give you this week's line one more time. The next step is everything goes up in flames. Who said it? Once again, yrchat.com to leave your guess. It is officially comments time, so let's get to it. Hey, Diana says, I look forward to the newly potential budding romance of Nate and Amanda. I think the slow buildup of the two characters getting to the point of finally going out on a date after many months of talking and smiling at each other has made me want to see them get together. I know, Allie, you've been waiting for Amanda to get with Devon, but I feel that we've already seen those two, even though Amanda was Hillary at the time. I like the idea of a new couple on the show, and Amanda and Nate make a good-looking couple. Well, it might surprise you, Diana. I agree. I think Nate and Amanda are hot. the most chemistry I've seen with Amanda and anyone, or Nate and anyone, is happening there. I mean, I wasn't huge into Nate's relationship with Abby, for instance. They were fine, they were nice, they were cute, but I feel the chemistry when Nate and Amanda are together. I think there is loads of potential there, and like you, I am excited to see those sparks turn into flames. Let's pick up talking about Victor and Adam here. Daisy says, I wonder what Victor's plan is for Adam. I can't imagine that he doesn't have one, but I'll bet whatever it is, it's going to wipe that smirk off of Adam's face. And also give Chelsea a needed wake-up call about messing with him. But, Daisy says, whatever Victor has planned, Adam won't see it coming. In the end, I hope that Victor gives Newman Enterprises to Adam. Then after he retrieves the documents, Victor reveals that he had changed his company's name to Newman's a long time ago, but left a small warehouse that retained the name Newman Enterprises. And it's all Adam's. Ooh! So you should write for Y&R, Daisy. You always come up with the greatest twists. I love that idea. I mean, I think that we, at this point, are maybe universally picking up on the fact that Adam's going to end up with egg on his face at the end of this. There's no way that all of this information just landed right into Adam's lap so conveniently, and then Victor just rolls over and hands over the company. I think we all sense that a twist is coming. Maybe we don't know exactly what it's going to be yet, but we all know it's there. Interesting. Last week's poll question was, do you want to see a war between Adam and Victor? And 73% said no thanks. I'll pass. I voted with the 27% who said, yeah, I'm up for it. It's loose, but I'm up for it. Well, Lynn4283 says, one word, no. It is time for Adam and Victor to join forces and run Newman Enterprises together. This is the 7,895,645th time that Adam and Victor started a war on Y&R. Oh, well, first of all, are you impressed that I was able to read out your number? Because it's just a number like it. This is the 7,895,645th time I said, no, I'm going to read this comment in full. I could have shortened it. I could have said 7 millionth, but I didn't. I was committed to providing you accuracy. That's the kind of reporting that I do here at Y&R Chat. Accurate. But more so, Lynn, I love your idea that the more interesting twist probably would have been to see Adam and Victor running the company together. I guess maybe Y&R thinks that the fans are expecting a rivalry at this point, and maybe that's what they're wanting to deliver for us. TB84 says, I just got bored of the father-son war mode. It is a constant mode, isn't it? I mean, Adam and Victor have been in war mode for a really long time. We didn't get much of a chance to see them doing anything else. Anna says, I voted yes! I am always up for a good family feud, especially a feud between Victor and Adam. I know Adam says this could be the last feud, but as we know, there's always another feud and another makeup around the bend. The drama that the war generates and the ripple effects usually make for a good story. I agree. I mean, I'm fine with it. I took the leap. I usually try to be pretty laid back about these things, if possible, just so that I can keep on board with the story. So, yeah, and I think it's going to be good to see that egg splashed all over Adam's face. I'm predicting it, and I'm waiting for it. Gary says, Allie, I feel that this week's question is incomplete. Some might be willing to see another Adam-Victor war Father and son have to do something, but not one based on the current made-up murder mystery story of some 30 years ago. Admittedly, I am stubborn, making up my mind quickly, as I have, in not wanting to watch this created out of thin air bogus situation. Of course, this is a soap with each new story a created out of thin air bogus situation. But ideally, new stories are supposed to flow from the character development of old ones. Gary goes on to say, I should acknowledge that Y&R's making use of their rich storyline history in creating this supposed situation from the car accident that killed Hope's Cliff. At least it's rooted in a real event that the audience can remember. Yes, I will give it that. I was harsh on it at first. I think they rushed it. I think they left a lot of holes. I think they could have done this better, absolutely. But you do make a good point that at least they're reaching back. I think that this writing team, although I'm not sure how successful they've always been at it, I think they do make an effort to try to dig into the history and to try to bring that back up. Because I think they know that the majority of their viewers at this point have been watching for a really long time. It's part of their routines. And some of the things that emotionally connect us to the show currently are, as you say, rooted in the past. But speaking of action-packed storylines that are happening off screen and are not rooted in real events, Superplex says, well, Chance finally traps Colin, and Kane is nowhere to be found. What's the latest news with him? Will he finally reach Genoa City in time to catch Lily in her love embrace with Billy? Yes, I like this connection, because here's a situation juxtaposed where Y&R actually did reach back into their history. They rooted in something that actually happened. And then here we have this whole situation with Chance and Colin. They are just creating things out of thin air that are happening off screen that it's impossible for the viewer to connect to. I think you're probably onto something, though, Superplex. I think you're right, whether I like it or not, that Lily and Billy are probably headed for a hookup. But I also find it suspicious that they haven't mentioned Kane at all. There was a little story on Soaps in Depth a couple of weeks ago that highlighted Daniel Goddard, who has just received his American citizenship. I had no idea he wasn't an American citizen. I mean, his tight blue jeans are as American as apple pie to me. There's nothing more American than those tight blue jeans and that belt buckle. So as far as I'm concerned, he was already in. But apparently he got his citizenship, and I thought it was interesting that they were highlighting him still. I mean, they do features on soap stars from the past. But to me, I find it suspicious that they haven't mentioned Kane in all of this. They certainly must know that that is a storyline hole, especially with Lily back on the screen. So that just tells me that they have a plan. As happens a lot with these guys, I think they take a while to get to their plans, but I want to believe that they've got one. Maybe no news is good news, but I can totally see Billy and Lily working toward a romance, only to, at the last minute, right when they're getting ready to do it, boom, Kane back. Yep. Well, we talked about Mariah and Tessa a lot last week, but here's a few more comments on that topic. Ellen says, I'm so glad that Mariah is going to be there for Sharon. Sharon needs her adult daughter there to talk to and to support her. Those were lovely scenes. Yes, I could feel that Mariah was torn between wanting to be there for her family, but also not wanting to mess up this second chance that she fought really hard to get. So I'm glad that Tessa participated in that decision-making process and that they said, okay, we're going to do this, but we're going to communicate through it. You need to be there for your family. I understand that. I don't need to be the center of your world. We're just going to try harder this time. We know what the pitfalls are, and we're going to work our way through it, because I think you're right that it's important that Mariah is there for Sharon, because I think that Sharon talks to Mariah in a way that's different from Ray, and that's different from anyone else. I mean, it's, ideally you would have a variety of different types of relationships and different people to rely on when you're going through something like that. Sherrod says, so in the course of 2 weeks, Tessa and Mariah have broken up, made up, had sex in an actual bed, a big one at that, decided to go on tour together, sex on a jet, joining the Mile High Club, and within 2 days of tour life, Mariah's headed back to Genoa City. The girls have been working overtime, and it was a lot of screen time, especially for Tessa, so I'm guessing either we're not seeing her for a very long time or never again. That's kind of funny. I like sex on a jet. Sounds well, it sounds kind of sort of like a naughty movie title. Sex on a jet. It's gotta be. Surely if you search that on IMDb, Sex on a Jet has gotta be on there. But I think I'm done guessing that we're never gonna see Tessa again. I think Tessa's on for the long haul. If anybody's on this show in 2030, when we get to 2030, I think it's gonna be Tessa. But yeah, it was a lot. There was a lot of Mariah and Tessa. And Laura says Tessa wasn't angry enough long enough. Mariah got off scot-free. Tessa is mature beyond her years to let bygones be bygones. Or maybe it's not a matter of maturity. Maybe she's reached a higher plane of existence. Yes, maybe. Maybe Tessa will ascend. She's reached nirvana, and she will just dissipate into thin air. Oh. Well, let's dig into this situation with Kyle and Summer here. I'm leaving it to Ellen to drop a big old truth bomb for Kyle. Ellen says, so Kyle thinks he's moving in with Summer, and that should be fine. But talking to Lola about their divorce would have been too hurtful. Grow up, Kyle. Allie may be ready to cut you a break, but not me. You're such a childish jerk. Be a man and end your marriage respectfully before you continue your giddy schoolboy romance with your childhood pal Summer, which is icky, by the way. P.S. See Theo? He is showing way more class with Lola, taking it slow. It's so true that I love what you're saying, that he found it would be too hurtful to get the divorce from Lola and to actually talk about it and to go through those processes. But it's not hurtful for him to just be carrying on with Summer while he's still married to Lola. Absolutely double standard. I'm 100% on board with you there. But Leslie says, I don't see Kyle's romance with Summer as icky. It's much preferred to Lola, except it was too rushed. And they haven't fixed the problem with taking away the bad boy side of him like they did when they paired him with Lola. I think that it's true that Y&R just didn't do a good job with this one. And maybe that's the reason why I'm sort of forcing myself to just move on from it, because I feel that all of the characters in this quadrant have been pretty overall good. I like all the characters. This is probably one of my favorite stories, aside from Phyllis and Nick, that are on the show right now. I think Y&R has done a great job of developing all of these guys. And this is sort of new to this writing team. They did this from the ground up, tossing Theo and Lola into this triangle and doing this whole thing. So I like that very much, and maybe that's the reason I've been able to jump on board. But I think that it's suffered from it being rushed. I think that Kyle and Summer had a whole lot of chemistry that was there and never needed to argue it, and it's just that the writers didn't do a good job of easing us there. I think that Kyle kind kind of got sacrificed in all of this, didn't he? They made him look bad. I mean, the fact that he did dog Lola like this and then move on with Summer like it was nothing, it's just not a good look on him. But that's sort of a separate issue for me, from Summer and Kyle being a good couple. I still enjoy seeing Kyle and Summer on my screen. I just guess I had to sacrifice the relationship with Lola in order to make the leap. Justin says, why does Kyle not move back into the Abbott pool house? That's where he was living before he was with Lola. And Gary chimes in by saying, no, that space has Theo's name all over it once he accepts the family. Oh, the Abbott pool house. Yes, we need more living spaces. Because, I don't know though, because Jack has been seeming like his patience is wearing thin with Theo. I don't know if Jack's going to offer that space to Theo. But we need someone to live there. Now that I'm thinking about it, where does Theo live? He's not in any of the main houses when we only have two other options. Theo either has to be living at the Grand Phoenix Hotel or he's living in the New Hope housing. That's all we've got. When is Genoa City going to build some condos? Oh, my friends, I hope you are all staying safe and sane out there. I saw some comments coming into the website this week from Marion, from Ambreen. People are definitely doing their best to get through this self-isolation and the quarantine and to try to stay healthy. And my heart is going out to you guys so much. I mean, I'm so nervous that someone I know is going to get it and not recover. I'm sort of a naturally nervous person, or I've got anxiety for sure, and this definitely has been a challenge for me to manage that. I think I always kind of try to look at the bright side as a way to manage the anxiety. It's sort of the way that I get through it, because I'm feeling all of the same anxieties that I know you guys are, and so I just want this space to be hopefully as positive and as happy as possible. But I'm so glad that as many people have come to the website to at least check in. Let me know what it's looking like in your area. Let me know what you're doing to cope. I mean, please feel free to do that, because this is such an extenuating circumstance, and I just want to know that you guys are okay. And you know me, I'll be worried about you unless you keep checking in. So don't even think about jumping off the map now. You have to let me know that you're okay. Otherwise, it'll occur to me in the middle of the night, and I'll say, oh crap, where did Laura go? I haven't heard from Leslie in 2 weeks. Where is she? And I have to say, I really appreciate all my regulars that come at week after week. It helps me to not have to worry about Superplex. I know you're there. Ellen, I know you're there. Gary, I know you're there. And that brings me some comfort. And a million other people that I'm not naming. I'm just getting to the point, I think, where I'm delirious, maybe. Well, I'm guessing that we are going to get 4 episodes and a classic. I knew they were going to do a wedding. I thought maybe they were going to do Kyle and Lola's wedding. That was my prediction. But they must have had Victor and Nikki's wedding all queued up and ready to go. So we'll see what the next classic episode is on Friday. I wish maybe back it up even more. Do 3 and 2. 3 new, 2 classic. I know all that takes time too, because those classic episodes were made at a time when there wasn't a digital over-the-air TV. All of that footage has to go back in and be reformatted for the new dimension, the new ratios and everything. So I know it's not an easy task to toss out these classic episodes, but surely they've got some from the last 10 years that they could toss out, and that would be fine with me. I don't want to see Nikki's jail episode or Neil's funeral or Jack's special episode, because we've seen all of those lately. They need to go at least 5 years back. Go from 5 to 10 years and toss one of those episodes out at us, and I'll be a happy girl. I just won't be watching them until I get a little further down the road. Oh, well, once again, everybody, I hope that you have a good week and that you stay positive and that you come back to Y&R Chat next Sunday and we will have some fun. Rain or shine, I'll make sure that we have a little bit of fun, okay? I love you guys. Have a good week.